Oh, this can immediately f*** off. Cars don't bend this way, and if they did, the passengers would wish they didn't. In this animation, the guy in the green shirt is facing us, so how is his reflection also looking at us at the same angle, using an actual shadow for foreshadowing? I want everyone to look closely at this room just before they fight and notice the lack of an umbrella. I tell you this for no reason at all. A shadow is an absence of light. It has no physical mass, so how is it applying makeup and supporting clothing? Yes, I'm obtusely sinning cartoon logic because the alternative is a several-minute diatribe about corporate synergy and how little sense it makes that Joker is now a canonical Looney Tune. Also, there's an episode of the Mask animated series where everyone loses their shadow, which makes everyone age prematurely because their youth is linked to their shadow. I remember thinking, wow, this doesn't make any f***ing sense, and yet I now find myself longing for it by comparison. Homework. We see the dynamite explode, and yet an unexploded stick of dynamite can still be seen in Arthur's hand, calling into question the veracity of this entire production, honestly. What this movie accomplishes by setting the tone that Joker has a more violent shadow inside of him is mostly a whole bunch of confusion. You'll be asking the questions, is Joker the guy that Arthur wants to be, but his violent alter ego gets him into trouble? Is there a special meaning to the fact that we're not seeing Arthur, but only Joker in this cartoon? Is the shadow Joker actually another person like Harley Quinn? And did I really pay money to see this? Amazingly, this would only be the fourth most violent cartoon in the Looney Tunes canon. All right, now that the cartoon is done, we can finally get to where Arthur went to after he escaped from Arkham at the end of the last movie, which is back at Arkham. Huh. And I guess none of that last movie's ending even happened, as it turns out. Well, surely he won't be here for the whole movie. He's got Joker things to do, right? Right?
You got a joke for me today?
I do, in fact. You, your friend, and 100 other people walk into a theater. You and the others buy tickets to this movie, hoping for at least the same experience you got when you watched the first Joker. About an hour in, you realize you bought tickets to the 2024 equivalent of Cop Rock. I'm glad we're getting a full one-shot of the prisoners walking to these sinks to dump their urine. It's foreshadowing for later, when you realize the filmmakers think of their audience as a bunch of troughs that will swallow anything. Here begins another 30-second uncut shot of Arthur walking, and then it cuts to another 42-second uncut shot of Arthur walking. To what end? Actually, I should give this movie some credit here, because it is quite a stunning feat, making a movie much more walkoutable.
I got a joke for you.
Movie has time to tell this entire joke. The guard accidentally nicks Arthur around the mouth, leading to a "do you want to know how I got these scars" origin story that is a red herring so large that you could cut down the mightiest tree in the forest with it. Some of this movie was filmed in IMAX, presumably so they could fit the f***ing title on the screen. Arthur's mind turns the guards' all-black umbrellas into jokery ones, and I can't believe this movie didn't at least break into an homage of the umbrellas of Cherbourg, considering this movie's French subtitle and musical theme.
Could have been all yours if you hadn't killed 5 people. One live on national TV.
And remember when you danced on the stairs to Gary Glitter and this movie made $1 billion worldwide and got nominated for 11 Oscars and won 2, including Joaquin Phoenix, who gave one of the most somebody tackle this guy acceptance speeches ever? Anyway, kid, you remember what happened. I don't even know why I brought it up. This movie continues to romanticize this gesture like it's fun and endearing, which is an odd thing for a movie series that is so wrapped up in mental health issues to keep doing. Also, I guess this is a callback to when Arthur tried to charm Zazie Beetz' character in the first movie. But how does Lee know about it? How did she manage to stumble upon his chosen gesture of seduction? And no, I'm not buying that specific detail made it into the fucking TV movie they mentioned later, because I'm just not.
You need to be in an actual hospital with actual doctors.
The best thing I can say about the original Joker is that it shows the powder keg that a crumbling mental health infrastructure creates in society. By the end of that movie, the powder keg explodes. Arthur murders some assholes and becomes a folk hero. But instead of moving on to that next phase, the sequel wants to explore more of society's ills through the justice system, and much like Arthur in this interview, has very little to say.
She believes you have another person living inside of you, and it was this other person who committed those crimes.
Spelling out metaphors your animated intro already used a novelty cartoon hammer to smack us over the head with.
Do you understand what that means, Arthur?
I think it means a hypothetical audience at home doesn't need to harbor guilt about their feelings of empathy toward Arthur, because it wasn't him that did the killing, it was Joker. Well, my soul feels clean.
Do you remember any of what happened? Did you black out, see bright lights?
This is some leading ass shit right here. We're told this is going on the record, and she is walking him directly into an answer that they want him to give, as if the prosecutor wouldn't immediately tear that shit apart. I've watched The Whole Truth.
What, if anything, do you remember about that night?
The music.
Therein lies the entire foundation for making this movie a musical, which could have been a super dark and subversive take on the genre that the movie will ultimately waste.
Maybe I could talk to Joker about it. Would he like to talk to me?
Fine, tell me I'm projecting, but that's a look that says there are no answers here, people. Move along. Joaquin Phoenix gets some practice for the next movie that he's going to abandon.
Ever since they made that TV movie about you, everybody still thinks you're the star.
I hear it was such a surprise hit that they're making a musical-ish sequel that I'm sure everyone will also love. Also, this is the first of many references that feel like shady nods to fans of the first movie that a certain unnamed director might be worried liked it for the wrong reasons.
Do you still think you're a star?
This is another theme the movie only kind of explores. Arthur's attraction to fame comes into play when Lee starts hogging the spotlight, and it informs his decision to fire his lawyer later in the movie. Arthur getting a huge ego could have been a great driver for this movie, and it dies with a whimper. This scene is punctuated with Arthur lighting up a cigarette at the end of the day, and then it cuts to the next morning. He is then let out of his cell for the morning pee dump, and then it cuts to him being escorted by Jackie to the B ward where he's going to join the prison choir. All I've got to say is just fucking cut to the choir scene already. You know what? Actually, don't cut to the choir scene, but the scene where Joker is pulling off his first heist. Or cut to this part that happens 1 hour and 55 minutes into the movie.
You see, we use music in this class to make us whole.
Since the last movie's DNA was filled with Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, I secretly began hoping this would be the Mr. Holland's opus of Joker films.
So what's a nice guy like you doing in a place like this?
I killed 5 people.
You must have watched that TV movie they made about you like 20 times.
We'll eventually learn Lee is bending some truths, but it feels odd that Arthur doesn't question that she asked why he was in here, despite repeatedly watching a movie based on why he is in here. There's only one prosecutor in all of Gotham, and his name is Harvey Dent.
How does that feel?
Here comes the first of many confusing musical set pieces that come out of fucking nowhere. It's as if they threw a dart at a wall filled with high concept ideas and landed on sort of a musical. Imagine if they'd shocked everyone and landed on sort of a watchable movie.
Answer him, Arthur. How's it make you feel? You scared?
Arthur once again doesn't answer the question, which the movie thinks makes this character way more interesting. Also, the movie is allowed to pretend that musical interlude didn't happen, and this was not a courtesy also afforded to me. Also, I'm more than a little disappointed that the idea of a Joker musical was greenlighted and they didn't make this one of the most ridiculous movies ever made. Might have been a lot of fun, or at least a beautiful disaster. We are all Arthur in this scene.
What did Bill Robinson do? He danced on the stairs, didn't he? Now, I happen to play Oedipus the King on the same stairs. What's the difference? We're all theater.
Oh, I love this next scene. It's when Deadpool appears and asks the audience if they understand how amazingly apropos this choice of movie is before masturbating on a copy of Batman #1.
A clown with his pants falling down. That's entertainment.
Notice how conveniently the singers of That's Entertainment left out the example where someone makes a sequel to a popular film that completely distances itself from its fans. Might have been too hard to fit in the lyrics, though. This movie is now forcing me to interpret what's going on. Yes, it seems simple. It looks like Lee is going to start a fire. But now I'm wondering if Lee is the shadow this movie foreshadowed. Since his lawyer is trying to prove that he has a split personality and it's suggested that he's hearing voices that may or may not be his mother, is this movie saying that Lee, his shadow, is a manifestation of his mother and that he can blame all the bad stuff on? Did they just Fight Club this Joker movie? Oh, that doesn't make this movie good. Or wait, am I just making shit up and this is so wrong that I shouldn't even be sinning this? God damn it.
It could be Oedipus Rex,
Where a chap kills his father and causes a lot of bother.
Yada yada-ing incest. 3 people don't seem concerned that 2 inmates are running in the wrong direction. Okay, there's the chaos of the fire, but this nurse appears to have been specifically tasked with sending people in the right direction.
What a setup! Holy cow!
Casting Lady Gaga and forcing her to unlearn how to sing. This film is like a manifestation of being in Dave Chappelle's head right when he left his own show and took a trip to South Africa in the middle of production, where the success of the earlier work became a burden. Feels like they realized their boss was David Zaslav and they decided he needed to take a beating on this movie.
Yeah.
Expecting reliable answers from a presumed hallucination.
One of the guards let me in.
One of the guards let you, a person suspected of starting a fire and trying to escape, in to see your fellow escapee who is currently in solitary confinement? I don't think Lee is a figment of Arthur's damaged mind, but the movie sure seems determined to convince me she is.
You perfect.
Movie will now apply makeup for a full minute. You know, it's kind of cruel that after 2 weeks, they sent Joker back to the hole.
Can you do it?
It feels like I'm watching a bastardized version of a Bernardo Bertolucci film right now.
What's he gonna ask me about?
Well, hopefully about your life in here.
Hopefully? You mean you don't fucking know? The press are dying to talk to Arthur, which should give him all the leverage to negotiate the terms of the interview. At least then the worst thing that can happen is an accidental Prince Andrewing of himself.
What the conditions are really like in this place.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that the first interview with the man who killed 5 people, one on live TV, don't forget, is going to focus on abuses in the fucking penal system.
You want me to call you Arthur or the Joker?
Man, they dragged poor Steve Coogan into this mess and forced him to learn an Australian accent. Isn't this set in the 80s? Had we even discovered Australia yet?
Just be yourself.
saying this dumb shit to the person you believe is suffering with multiple personality disorder who likely doesn't have a strong grip on what self means.
2 years ago, the name Arthur Fleck hit Gotham like a hurricane.
My cat is purring, it scratches my skin. Said, what is wrong with another sin? Whichever genius set this camera up so that Arthur's head could awkwardly bob into frame during the introduction.
I thought Murray was playing a part in my show, but he was a bad actor.
Movie admits that Robert De Niro playing a supposedly funny and popular late-night host was definitely not the most convincing role of his career.
So your defense is it was the Joker who did it.
It's been 45 minutes and I still can't figure out what this movie is trying to say. I wish somebody would spell it out across multiple mediums of animation, song, and TV interviews.
You just want to talk about my mistakes. You want to talk about the things that I did in the past, not about who I am now.
It's so unfair. You kill 5 people and suddenly that's all people want to talk to you about. The press, the public, the police, a judge. Just so weird that they focus on that, not how you learn to crochet in prison. Also, I can't believe that this is the interview Stewart agreed to. Stewart is either totally naive or pathologically shit at her job if she couldn't predict that this guy, who obviously has a reputation, wasn't going to tear Arthur apart.
Lately, I have not slept a wink.
We're at the 48-minute mark. Imagine all the cool Joker stuff we could be seeing right now. I think I would long for a scene where he kills Bruce's parents, but here I am.
I'm wild again.
Yes, he's singing again, but the plus side is that every sudden solo so far has been a delusion. That means I can switch off my brain for a bit and tune back in when...
She's cool.
Wait, this song actually happened? Brendan Gleeson is currently wondering what the f*** he got into in this scene.
I'll sing to her.
Good thing Lee was walking past this shop with TVs all showing the same channel, or this serenade would have been totally wasted. She does know that TV won't keep playing the same interview over and over, right? Also, all these people in the background are too good to steal a TV for themselves.
If you ask me, this is what you get when there's a complete breakdown in social services.
Beat you over the head with the movie's message radio news position. This is an example of how sequels sometimes take the goodwill of the first movie and expect you to be delighted about everything they do. This is a long drive to Arthur's trial, followed by a wait in a holding cell, followed by this movie's trademark, Arthur walking somewhere. This is all because, I guess, it's building up the tension for a character we supposedly love. What does this tension build to? A lengthy murder trial. Hooray!
Any and all outbursts will not be tolerated.
Ah, geez, they dragged the adorable old man from Up into this mess. Why even light the f***ing thing if you're going to throw this much of it away? We are reminded that this trial is on TV throughout the proceedings, and I can't help but think the real story is the one going on outside the courtroom. This could have been an interesting look into a corrupt media and how the cult of Joker fans plan to break him free. Of course, I'd have liked for all that to happen in the first 30 minutes, and then we'd be on to new things already, but one can dream.
How long did you interview Arthur Fleck for?
About 2 hours.
It's actually 89 minutes.
Ugh, Marianne is one of those nitpickers. Takes a tiny detail and makes it seem like it's super bad and devastating. I hate that.
That when Arthur was 7 years old, they returned him to his abuser's home.
Just what this 2-hour plus runtime needed. Even more time rehashing things we were told in the first movie, including the same newspaper clippings. Arthur is a good speller until it gets to that tricky November word. Seriously, this next hour is like watching the series finale of Seinfeld, where it bogs down into a trial that is almost like a greatest hits record. Honestly, I'm not surprised this movie went from is Lee real to just shoving her into Arthur's lawyer's face. I guess she's real, which means the most interesting thing about her has been instantly destroyed by this movie.
And then we're gonna build a mountain.
A what?
From a little help.
What does that even mean?
Off-screen reporter would be excellent at my exact thoughts after almost every line of dialogue in this movie since.
She lives on the Upper West Side with her parents.
When Marianne disillusions Joker about Lee, it takes the movie into yet another downturn. Guess the filmmakers thought they'd build a solid foundation with this relationship and that we'd care if it crumbled, but there was never any real investment, especially since it was so hard to figure out if she was real for the longest time. And they had one big scene together in Arkham and then she got kicked out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Joker and Holly Show.
Okay, I think I'm getting it now. Each time something shocking or traumatic happens to Arthur, he bursts into song or escapes into a musical fantasy where he processes the shit he's experiencing. I get it. But was drearily speak-singing thematically on-the-nose songs the only option? If you want to do something edgy and unique, why not introduce random chapter headings? Or bring in your title card 54 minutes into the film like everyone else?
Well, you weren't even looking at me anymore. You were making it all about yourself.
There's a chance this movie won't have nearly the amount of sins it deserves, so I'm going to go ahead and give it 1,000 here.
Because I got this sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
This is so meta, tragically on the nose. I'm worried the movie just briefly tried to achieve self-awareness in an attempt to prevent its own creation.
Let's give the people what they want.
And I'm pretty sure this is an in-movie realization that this sequel isn't satisfying the fans. It's telling that it believes some random violence is what people came for. Also, if this movie isn't for the fans, who's it for? It certainly wasn't made for the people who didn't like the first one.
Did you really check yourself in here? Just because you wanted to meet me?
Just to meet you.
This obviously could be another lie, but at this point, I don't care. So I'm going to sin this as if it were the truth. There's absolutely no way she thought checking herself into Arkham was going to lead to a meeting with Arthur. The fact that they met and even got to hang out was because of some unpredictable bullshit.
Can't you see what she's doing? They're laughing at you in there.
Thinking this would be discouraging news to, checks notes, a clown.
I'm pregnant.
Oh, now that's interesting. Sadly, the movie doesn't appear to agree, as this is the last time said pregnancy, imagined or otherwise, will be addressed by Lee. Too bad Lee doesn't have the same perspective as we do, or this might have been really cool for her. Also, just imagine this in a better movie, like where this happens in the first 10 minutes, and it's just before Lee breaks him out of prison. The first Joker largely succeeded because of the dancing, in my opinion, so here's some more dancing, you rascally tykes.
And then I was a character in that awful TV movie they made, and
I really wish we could have seen parts of this TV movie they keep bringing up. It would have been this series' Stab franchise. So much fun was just left on the table. The movie's about to go into another pointless song with pointless fantasy violence directed at Harvey Dent and the Judge. This movie's creativity ended at let's make Joker a musical. I mean, I would have even accepted Joker singing Joker Face, a play on a song from an artist I can't remember right now, but would have been super hilarious even while I said the shit out of it. Congrats, in this scene you've included a song called The Joker. Kudos. Just a shame it wasn't the one that would allow Arthur to be a space cowboy, the gangster of love, a smoker, a midnight toker, Maurice, or most importantly, the pompous of love. By the way, I find it weird in this musical courtroom time waster where Joker kills Harvey Dent and the judge that he doesn't kill his own lawyer. He's gonna fire her in the very next scene, and it would have made all the sense in the world to fantasize about it here.
Hey, no touching!
I still believe this is all in Arthur's head, and there's still some Fight Club shit going on where he's imagining things when he's not even in the same room. At least, that's what I tell myself to make this a way better movie than it is. This is how cancer is spread. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean the smoke, just the movie.
Fired his lawyer, Marianne Stewart, in open court. Then he kissed her goodbye.
Previously on Joker, Folie à deux. You know, in case you forgot what happened 3 minutes ago.
The right of self-representation is not a license to abuse the dignity of the courtroom. Can you control your emotions, Mr. Fleck?
I'm glad we didn't see this conversation when it actually happened. It would have ruined this movie's Arthur walks somewhere, or Arthur is driven somewhere visual aesthetic.
I've reluctantly decided that Mr. Fleck does have the right as an attorney to dress himself how he likes.
The judge cites Jensen v. Superior Court for his ruling, which was a case involving a man wearing a turban, and the exception came for religious, cosmetic, or other legitimate purposes. In other words, allowing Arthur to dress as the Joker is some bullshit.
The state calls Gary Puddles.
And, Your Honor, I'd request that the movie show Mr. Puddle's entire walk from outside the courtroom to the witness stand, so as to make this movie longer and more unbearable to watch.
Please raise your right hand.
Was Gary Puddles such a crucial character to the last Joker movie that all this pomp and circumstance is necessary for his appearance in the sequel? The movie is really elevating the gravitas for what will simply be a verbal rehash of everything we saw in the previous film. In case you were wondering, yes, Gary is sitting on a phone book while on the witness stand. It's for informational purposes, I'm sure.
You expect us to believe that your last name is Puddles?
Harvey Dent does not object to the question that has been asked and answered twice already.
And what else did you see that day?
You're stabbing him in the eye?
If you count up all the minutes that are people recounting events from the first movie and subtract that number from the total runtime, you end up with a movie I still can't f***ing stand.
Yes, but, Randall was a bit of a bully, wasn't he? He didn't deserve to die.
They should have called this Joker 1.5 and put this story in a webcomic that you could access if you, I don't know, subscribe to Max for 3 months. This whole trial plays like supplemental material that fills in gaps for the first Joker, so you can be ready for the real Joker 2.
Did you catch my act on the Murray Franklin show later that night?
I was locked up at the police station in an interview room. So they thought you might come and kill me.
So Arthur kills Randall, Puddles goes to the police, and the police detain him all night. Which means the police should have been searching for Arthur the same day he killed Murray. But if that's the case, why didn't they arrest him before he had a chance to shoot Murray? They have his name, so it couldn't have been hard to figure out where the special guest on the Murray Franklin show was going to be that evening.
What you are proving here today is that you are no different than any of those people that underestimated me. From Murray Franklin to...
I'm sorry, did the judge step out for a lunch break or something? How is he letting this rant continue?
The defense rests as well, Your Honor.
Pardon?
Again, I don't know how much of this is in Arthur's head or whatever. Probably doesn't even matter at this point, but what the f are these people so excited about? Do they really think the jury is going to come back with a favorable ruling, or do they just love the audacity of not putting up an actual defense? Again, this movie is saying quite clearly, Joker fans are idiots. So Lady Gaga was clearly singing off key early in the movie because Lee isn't Lady Gaga, and that's just how Lee sings. So what the f is going on now? Why can Lee suddenly sing like Lady Gaga? I don't have much to say about this musical number, except that they say mountain more than a kid playing a mountain spotting game while flying over the Alps. There's this really fun scene in Star Trek The Next Generation where Data wants to learn to dance and Beverly teaches him how to tap. What's funny is that Data doesn't tell Beverly that he's dancing at a wedding. Obviously, tap dancing isn't good for a wedding, so she teaches him to do a more appropriate dance, and then he practices with this big goofy smile on his face. And while you could draw some similarities between both characters struggling to fit in and the application of pale makeup, I really just needed to take a break from this movie and watch some Star Trek. Carry on. Oh good, Arthur's being driven somewhere again. I'm confused about what is happening in this scene. Are they beating him up? Or doing something more intrusive? The latter feels implied, but I don't understand what that means in this movie. I guess the prison system is f***ed and guards are assholes? Yeah, you made that abundantly clear. Why did we need extra unpleasantness too? Joker flashes back to the time of the first movie when he went to the bathroom and washed his face. For those of you out there who are learning, this is compelling cinema. A full minute of Lady Gaga singing while doing a makeup tutorial sounds like the stuff of TikTok dreams on paper. I present evidence to the contrary.
Because I can't be who you want me to be.
Believe it or not, I've been trying to give this movie the benefit of the doubt while thoroughly not enjoying it. I feel like the movie is trying to say, yes, Arthur should probably be in a mental health facility. He shouldn't be seen as a hero. Putting someone like this on trial as if he is sane is one big fat joke. Arthur's closing statement is that he can't be who you want him to be, addressing not only his fans watching the trial, but also the people watching the movie who have also misconstrued who Arthur really is. It comes right after two scenes, Gary telling Arthur that even though he didn't physically hurt him, the experience of watching him murder someone so brutally in front of him has left him scarred and scared for life. After that, the guards at Arkham beat the absolute shit out of Arthur and potentially more, and off-screen choked his buddy Ricky to death after throwing Arthur in his cell. Now we realize Arthur's scared of what confronts him. He's not going to get out of prison. The guards will probably beat him mercilessly until he dies. Being Joker is an escape from his mind, but not his destiny. And why I'm giving this a sin is, this is probably not the movie for that message.
There is no Joker.
Only Zool, right?
It's just me.
But only Zool, right? Harley Quinn and the others behind her represent the audience currently watching this movie, only they probably did this over an hour ago. Harvey Dent is prosecuting a person we know has killed 6 people, and yet he's so f***ing smug in this movie that you can't help but root against him. And personally, I would like to be on the side that doesn't favor multiple homicides. As we enter the 50-second song of the movie, it suddenly occurs to me that Arthur sure does know every single word to a lot of songs and always seems to have one that is situationally appropriate. Well, I can barely remember the chorus to You Can't Touch This. Jesus Christ, movie, f***ing stop this shit. Find something else to express inner torment for f***'s sake. This explosion comes courtesy of some Joker fans who, I guess, calculated correctly that Arthur wouldn't die in the blast. This doesn't make the movie good or anything, and even though there are match cuts in this sequence, I do have appreciation for this uninterrupted take that starts in the courtroom, follows Arthur down this pile of rocks, enters the backseat of this car, and ends up back outside as we watch Arthur run away from the Joker fans. Even bad movies deserve a sin-off sometimes. Oh, you cheeky rascals, only blowing up half of Harvey Dent's face. I see you. I'm looking forward to 2030's Dent, where we explore the origins of Two-Face through the medium of mime, beat poems, and basket weaving. This guy looks like and should have been Jared Leto. Would have blown so many minds. It's weird how you can be in love with a woman and her name somehow gets spelled out on a building from the crumbling infrastructure of your hometown.
Stop saying.
Stealing my lines. Wait, how did the police get here so fast? Okay, maybe if they're discussing options, his apparently famous stairs are a good place to start, but there's no way it's a send multiple cars immediately kind of sure shot.
Can I tell you a joke I came up with?
Is it quick?
Asking someone else to be quick when you've spent over 2 hours refusing me the same dignity. So this guy stabs Arthur about 1,000,000 times, and we are left with the thought that the guy who's been playing Joker isn't the actual Batman villain, but an inspiration for the one who will one day be that guy. And I'm just saying, why didn't we get here before this? Why didn't this movie go full subversive and kill off Arthur early on, like Psycho did Marion Crane? We already had the seeds of Arthur inspiring someone else to be the Joker in the first movie. We didn't need all this shit to get here. One more insight the movie has as it dies a slow death is that the dude who just killed Arthur might actually become the real Joker one day, but this is not his movie, and also f*** you.
Don't you like clowns? Hey. Don't we make you laugh? Aren't we f***ing funny?
I just want to take another look at you.
Why so serious?
I just don't like you no more.
You do like me.
I don't.
You liked me yesterday.
My name's Lee.
We're talking f***ing Lee.
Thanks, pal.
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy.
Super fun happy side.
In the world I see, you're stalking in through the damn canyon forest around the ruins of Rockefeller Center.
This is Norfolk Nights with Alan Partridge.
How would you like to be disposed of when you're dead?
So tell me, Mickey, how can you look at an ordinary person, an innocent guy with kids, and then shoot him to death?
Fake laugh, hiding real pain.
Who do you think they see, Mr. Puddles?
Joker.
There never was an Aaron, counselor.
You got a flair for the dramatic.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Did you get my flowers and you didn't get them? Couldn't I send some flowers? Okay. Can I call you again? And then tomorrow or the next day?
Are you aiming for these people?
No. Maybe that mine.